Hello, this is S. Nicole J, and welcome to the Life Stories to Tell in the Dark, Episode 1. Without further ado, sit back and listen to my tale. This is the tale of me having a mental breakdown and crying at the Greyhound bus station. Episode 1. So, about 2.5 years or so ago, I decided to venture out into the world. Scary, right? Yeah, I thought so too at the time. It's the first time I was doing anything like that. And it was a year and a few months after I graduated high school. I went to work for about a year after I had graduated high school. I was doing pretty well for myself, but I was caught in that sort of cycle of going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home. It was a bagger. It's not a very fun job, but it was something to do, and it made money. And it was my first job, after all. If you want to hear that story, I can tell you at another point. But for this story, it's a mental breakdown at a Greyhound bus station. Now, I have a younger brother, and he wanted to do something new because of high school or something along those lines. He was probably freshman level at this point in time. So my mother took us downtown to this building to sign him up for a trade school program, the one I am going to bring up. Now, they played a presentation, handed pamphlets out to a small group of people in this small room. Originally, I was just there for moral support for him. I thought it was just to finish high school, for the younger generation, to get education, blah blah blah, all that fun stuff. Well, during the presentation and after, when I got a chance to ask questions, I found out no. They assisted with college too. College. Assisting with college. Someone fresh out of high school, maybe a year out of high school, after high school, hearing this sounded like something I wanted to do because I wanted to go to college. Hell, at the time I really didn't know what I wanted to go to college for. Pretty sure I wanted to do teaching, and I still do, of course. It's what I'm going to go back to college for. But at the time, I was excited, I was happy, I really wanted to do something new. They would provide room and board for people to go graduate high school, and if you took one of the trades they offer, they'd allow you to go into college as well. Well, I had already graduated high school, so I didn't need that part. I just needed to take a trade and then smooth sailing into college for the first time. Well, I thought, dang, I want to do that. Well, my brother had second thoughts. My mom were arguing. Maybe it wasn't something he really wanted to do. I, on the other hand, thought otherwise. I thought to myself, dang, this sounds like a good idea. And sure, it does on paper, and when you go to the presentations and read the little pamphlets they have to give you, it sounds like a great idea. So I went. He stayed home. Even though it wasn't supposed to be who was supposed to go, I still went. I packed up and basically took a leap of faith going into another city, still the same state, but another city that I had never been. I took the Greyhound bus to this city. That was some 2.5 hours ride from where I was. from where my home, my mother, my grandmother, my family was. Now remember, this was the first time I was doing something like this. It was a little scary, a little exciting. I wanted something new, something to get me away from work, from the cycle of repeating work, home, work, home, work, home, work, home, over and over and over again. When I arrived from the 2.5 hour bus ride to the Greyhound station, it was kind of late, so I expected a ride to already be there, right? Like, it's some professional business that they have to be running. Considering it's a school, you provide room and board. There's got to be someone there waiting. Well, that was not the case. I was wrong. So I waited, and I waited, and I waited. I had a shit ton of luggage with me, and though waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, I was freaking scared. Out of my mind. And I freaking started panicking. So, my smart ass, I called up the dude who had signed me up for this BS and told him nobody showed up. He could hear the fear in my voice, and at this point, I had started crying. And I'm pretty sure I was getting looks from the bus station employees. I was in hysterics. I was pissed. I was scared. It was a new place. Everything was new. At this point in time, I was very introverted. So just being around a bunch of people freaked me the hell out. Let alone being told I was going to be picked up and not have gotten picked up after so long of waiting. I don't even remember how long I waited. But by the time they actually came, it was dark outside. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So I called this guy, told him nobody showed up. He could hear the fear in my voice, and at this point, I had started crying, and he had to calm me down before he could go and call the school. I waited. I waited. He stayed on the phone with me until they showed up to make sure I wasn't going to be scared or that they would actually show up. By this time that they showed up, I wasn't crying and I was fine. I was perfectly fine because I had someone to talk to, someone who calmed me down. Turns out they had arrived early and left me. They left me. Although I was kind of pissed thinking about this later in life, I'm kind of glad they did. What had happened was I missed the first car ride because it was full. They had gone in, looked around, called the people who were already there, yada yada yada, their half of the story. And they left me. But thinking back, I'm kind of glad I missed the first ride. I made 2 friends that night. And they were my friends the entire time I was there in this trade school. One of them was even my first roommate, which was nice. We talked when we got to the school. We hung out. I got to know her a little bit. I got to know the guy that I had met in the car ride as well, who had been at the Greyhound station. They were the next group of people that were going to be due to be picked up. The late drivers, as you will. Now, if you liked that story and want to hear more about my time in what I called pre-college, or the trade school, and what led into college is what I considered it, leave a comment, a like, and subscribe. This was Life Stories to Tell in the Dark. As always, have a great day, and remember to enjoy the little things in life. Nicole out. See ya.